Did you know that mastering light and shadow can be achieved with just 3 colors? I know, right? Isn't that awesome? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to do that. But before we get going, there's a cost, there's a price. It's 1 click on the subscribe button and 1 boop to the like button. And why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I get so much energy fed back to me whenever I see that like button go off. It's amazing. So if you could just do that, that would be great. And I can keep making these tutorials. So let's get going. Okay, everyone. So I have a basic drawing of a plant here that we're going to use for this tutorial. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to color this in grayscale. So I'm going to create a new layer underneath my line art here. And I'm going to grab my airbrush. And I'm going to go over here to my color palette. And I'm just going to grab a mid-range gray color that I'm going to use as the ambient color of my plant. Just going to color this in. I like to color my plants, or I almost like to color anything with using an airbrush, because I love these little texture lines that it leaves. That way it doesn't look completely smooth and flat. It gives it a little bit more life, because even like if you look at a plant in real life, it's the leaves are going to bend and shift in certain places, and of course the light, when it hits it, it's also just going to do the same thing. It's going to bend and with it's what we call a bounce light. I'm not really too worried about. Here we go. So we're going to call this color number 1. We're going to call this color number 1 in our 3-color technique. Okay. Pretty good. So now I'm going to add another layer on top of that. And this layer is going to be a multiply layer. So I'm going to change it to multiply. And what we're going to do here is we're going to actually shade this. This will be our shade layer. And as I come over here to my grayscale swatches, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab one that is about 10 to 20% darker than what I had. There we go. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my clipping mask, because I don't want to shade outside of this. So, and we're gonna increase the size of the airbrush here. And so we're gonna have like our light is going to be kind of coming from the top down, so to speak. So from the right hand side. I'm just gonna color this in. And you see here, it's kind of picking up on the fact that I didn't color everything in completely with the layer above. So it's finding all of those white specks, if you will, and it's treating that as if there's no color here, so there's nothing to multiply with. That's why you see that repeated again. And here we go. And, I like to draw some like extra additional texture with my shading, so we're just gonna. This is not like a completely smooth. This is an old pot, so we'll make this pot a little bit older. Okay, so now we have our second color on our design. In fact, I can even go back. I can go back to my shading layer here. If I color in those other dots, it will already pick up from the multiply layer that, oh my gosh, there's new color here, and now I can go ahead and I can make this layer darker, because it's reading what I'm telling whatever your layer settings are for the layer above. Your layer is going to say, oh well, I'm only going to multiply color where there's color, but there's no color here, so I'm not going to do anything. But if I go to the layer below and I add color then to where it was previously white, this layer above is going to pick up on it like, oh, hey, you're changing stuff. I need to catch up with you. So I'm going to add some color where there wasn't anything in there before. So that's a cool little facet of almost, you know, any design software does this nowadays. But now we're going to go to our third color. Our third color is going to be our highlights. So I'm going to create yet another new layer, and I'm going to put it above my multiply layer. And I'm going to, of course, change this to a hard light. Now, going back to my color swatches, I'm going to pick something kind of light. And still with the airbrush selected, I'm going to go over where the light would be hitting. We're going to add little details in here. Yeah, I want to make sure my clipping mask is turned on. And same thing, you know, you like to add the light where the details are. The edge of this branch. Add some little specs here. Okay, there we go. So in recap, we've got, you know, our base color, and then we went and we added our shading, and we added highlights. So now we're gonna add our third color. So above all of these three layers, I'm gonna add a new layer, and this is gonna be a color layer. And let's see, what color do we want to make our plant? Let's make our plant kind of let's make it kind of a red. Why not? Fantasy art, you can do anything you want. Today it's going to be red. I guess we need to make sure our clipping mask is turned on. And now as I color this, this is actually it's gonna read what the layers below it are doing. So my reds are going to be converted to a darker and or lighter red based on what the layers were below. And, you know, let's make our pot, let's make it like a green here. There we go. See, check that out. See how our values changed in the color of the greens. We went from, we have a really lighter color here on the right, and then we get into, you know, where the pot is a little bit more pitted, and you get these darker tones. So that is an essence of, you know, what's happening with this three color technique. So I didn't have to go through the problem of, well, you know, let me move this to get a darker color or a lighter color. Nope. I did not. All I did was use these values, these value ranges. If I go back to let's turn this off and turn my color layer on here. And I just use these basic grays to define my light and my shadow. So that way, when I go in and I color, I don't have to worry about what color or how I don't have to worry about making my colors darker, is what I'm trying to say. It will do it naturally on its own. Now, if I even go in here and do some other thing, let's say I want to, you know, I don't want these colors. You know, I'm going to go and I'm going to go and do an adjustment layer. Now I can, oops, that's not the right one. I want image. Adjust hue, saturation. So let's say I want to change the hue. Now I can go through all of these different colors, and let's say I choose this one. I'm going to hit apply and see, same thing. The new colors have taken the information from the lighting layers and the shadow layers and converted that into what it needs to do to create the light and shadow. So I think this is a game changer for me. This is a really cool technique. You still, down the road, you kind of need to know what colors go with what, and that's a whole, of course, a whole separate topic under color theory. But for this, trying to, if you struggle with shading and you need a good formula or a process to use to ensure that the colors are the colors that you want, and that it makes sense for your thing, spend the time ensuring that your range of colors or your values are correct. And it doesn't have to be perfect, within 10 to 20% of each other is fine. As long as you can tell that there's light where there's supposed to be light and there's shadow where there's supposed to be shadow, that's pretty much all you need to do. And you can increase the time that it takes and when you're spending on your images, which overall makes you a much more efficient artist. So if this helped you, please let me know. Please leave your comments and please hit that like button because I really like it when you guys hit the like. I don't know what it is about the like button, but that like button is just so likable. So, hey everyone, if you haven't had a chance to check out my Gumroad store in a while, I've added some new products. I've got custom fantasy digital art brushes, which you can use in Procreate, Clip Studio, Paint, or even Sketchbook Pro. And I've also recently created my Halloween brushes, which are get you ready for the Halloween season as we're getting into the end of summer. Oh my gosh, it's the end of summer. So if you haven't had a chance, make sure you stop by my Gumroad store and check it out. Have a good one.